I'm ready to slash and burn.
No quarter. I am going to be uncomfortable and all over you from start to finish.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Outside of the Box. And I'm going to call this episode the Collector's Edition because this is what it's all about today. Anybody that's, in the community pretty frequently is probably familiar with my guest. So today on the show, I have Lars, who is a massive BattleBots collector, has some items that I am personally super jealous of and excited to have him on the show to talk about this.
Woo!
Awesome. So how long, for people that aren't familiar, how long have you been collecting BattleBots parts and robots?
Well, the parts, first of all, started about roughly 2 years ago almost now. It's back when season 5 was around the top 16 being aired. Aaron Hill, our good friend, came into the Discord channel and asked, hey, we have some random wheels from Tantrum left over. Who would be interested in buying our junk? And that's kind of what started collecting for modern BattleBots, at least. I know between Robot Wars teams, it happens a lot over the past 2 decades. But as for modern BattleBots goes, I don't think really anything was sold in the first 4 seasons. And then during season 5, it kind of started with them. And that slowly led to at the point where we are now, trying to set some trends, buying robots.
Right, exactly. Yeah, because I've talked to a few teams and I think, that this was something that was not a phenomenon at some point, and they never would have thought of, oh, I have these like shredded tires, I could sell them to someone. Like no one even ever thought of that. And now I think that it's like a recurring thing after every season. Everybody has a lot of parts to sell.
Yeah, it's been a crazy few years. Since probably indeed Team Tantrum and probably Jackpot as well at that time started selling parts, everyone slowly started to get the idea of, oh, hey, we can actually get money for these. And within a season or two, now everything is expensive, mostly expensive.
Yes, exactly. The more in demand something is, typically the more expensive it is as well. And now that a lot of fans are aware of this, there are many people who are willing to, shell out the money to buy these parts. Now, for you, in terms of collecting, has it been, a matter of teams put, parts out there for sale and you're purchasing them that way, or talking to teams directly and expressing interest in purchasing things, or is it like a combination of both?
Oh, it definitely started within the first year, just finding anything on eBay and seeing whatever teams offer in the Discord channel or on Facebook. But after a while, when people started to get to know me a little bit better, it's been a lot of teams offering me to buy their parts before they try to put it on eBay or anything. So it's been less work for me and more money for me, but it's worth it. That kind of started when I bought my first heavyweight, and when that became public knowledge, all of the teams were like, oh, hey, do you want something? I don't blame them. I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've kind of amassed a pretty impressive collection in like a couple of years, really. What would you say, for you are some of the like more, important or like impressive things that you've gotten over that course of 2 years?
Well, if I don't count owning 4 heavyweights sitting here right next to me, which is very special to me still. I have right here, if I can show it, bam, wow, a nice piece of the BattleBox wall damaged by Endgame, signed by Trey and Greg, which is something I never expected to get, but Greg came to me and said like, hey, do you want this? Right on top there, I can't point at things. I have a really nice top panel of Minotaur from season 4, which is something I never expected to have either. And something that a lot of people probably don't know or maybe don't even care about is I have the only damaged part in existence from Triple Crown.
Yeah, that would certainly be, I mean, anything that's going to be rare is super cool, something that just other people don't have.
Oh, for sure, for sure. That's why I try to reach out to teams these days as well that have only been in one season, only had one fight. Some teams even had 0 fights, and try to find out if there's anything left from the old days. I'm trying to get a lot more into the Comedy Central era as well. See if I can find contact with any of the older teams, which is more difficult because most of them quit the sport like a decade ago. So but it's been a fun hunt, and I can tell you there's a few really nice Comedy Central related surprises coming, hopefully still this year.
That is pretty exciting. I mean, I know I personally kind of, follow your posts and things like that, and I'm always excited to see what you're going to get next. I know, especially when I saw about that Minotaur top panel, everybody knows, like, I love Minotaur. They've been my favorite team since 2018 or whatever, basically as long as they've been in BattleBots. So yeah, that's pretty exciting that you were able to get that.
I mean, like maybe one day I'll get Junior to sell you a part as well.
Hey, I if it's Minotaur, I would probably figure out a way to buy it for sure. No, that's so exciting. Now, being a collector of parts, has it ever at any point made you want to build a robot yourself? Because that usually is the next step in a lot of cases.
Oh, trust me, I've thought about it a lot, and I really want to get into building my own robots as well. It's just time management and that kind of stuff. Having a full-time job and all the other things combined with that makes it hard to make time to build a heavyweight. So the plan is to start with a beetle. Here in good old Europe, featherweights are really popular, so that might be the step after a beetleweight, and maybe in a few years or slightly more than a few years, we might get to a heavy. Who knows?
Yeah, that would be really cool. And I mean, I know that feeling myself. Granted, I wouldn't call myself a collector by any means. At this point, I have a Kraken tooth necklace and some stickers and things like that. So I definitely am far behind you in terms of collecting. But I also really want to build at least a beetle weight robot, and kind of see how that goes, because we do have Norwalk out here. I mean, not out here necessarily because I'm in Indiana, but in the United States, we have Norwalk, to go to. So I know that they do have a lot of different things over in Europe as well, all the leagues and things like that.
I have to say, we gotta give Norwalk a shout out as well, because without them, I wouldn't have all of these things right here next to me either. Their robot combat museum of owning like way more heavyweights than me is one of the reasons why I started thinking, maybe I should try to get one as well. So thank you, Gil.
This is probably like the second episode in a row. Shout out to Gil. Well, not in a row, but like recently I did an NHRL interview because I was able to meet Gil in person at the BattleBots filming, because he just happened to be in line in front of me. So great guy.
I can imagine. I really want to go to Norwalk someday to meet him. He sounds like a wonderful person.
Yes, very enjoyable to chat about robots with. Anyone that has a lot of knowledge of combat robotics, I am happy to have a conversation with. So anybody that's watching the show, because I've told a couple people this recently that have approached me, if you are involved in combat robotics and you want to talk to me, I will get you on the show. It will happen. So yeah, no, that's really awesome. So for those that may not know, which heavyweights do you have right now?
Yeah, I wish I can show it a little bit better, but stupid webcam.
Yeah, webcams.
Well, the first thing I ever bought was Valkyrie, which was also for the main reason that Valkyrie is my favorite modern robot ever. Which also, thanks to Team Axolotl, I got into contact with Leanne Cushing about it, which eventually led to probably still my favorite purchase of my entire life. Valkyrie is beautiful, and everyone should go follow their Instagram, by the way, and that was, I think, October last year, if I'm correct. Then January this year, I got Reality, which is, for those who haven't seen season 3 of BattleBots, one of the Dutch competitors from Team Bonax. Just one season and stayed in a shed for 3 years until I picked it up. Then somewhere in June this year, I got the season 5 version of Witch Doctor, which is still something that shocks both me and everyone in the community, I think. And then about 2 months ago, I got the left half of Jaeger, which is the Undercutter. And by the time this episode comes out, there will be a 5th.
That is exciting. And yeah, I don't know if you can reveal or even hint as to what that 5th robot is going to be at this point.
I mean, like, by the time this episode comes out, it will be public knowledge anyways. So I can safely say, hey, you people already saw that Blade is in my living room.
That is awesome. Team Orby has a lot of fans. There are definitely a lot of people that just love that robot. I mean, it's a great design. Like, even just like the color and everything about it, I think is great. Yeah. And
I heard you still wanted Cheok, or I hope I pronounced his name right, on the podcast someday.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I think that would be a really fun episode.
We're definitely gonna make that happen.
That's awesome. Because we can kind of circle back, on this and the fact that you own Blade.
He might be more excited about it than I am. Don't get me wrong, I love Blade. It's like my favorite robot of season 6, but that man is excited to sell it.
Oh, that's too funny. Yeah, no, I get it too. I mean, like, at this point, I mean, does he still have like a version of Blade, or is that just like that particular one?
He still owns version 2 of King of Bots.
Okay.
Which he tried to offer me as well, but and outside of that, he still has both versions of Buzz, his end weight from Korea that won a few championships.
Okay.
So he still has quite some stuff around, and I'm 100% sure that he'll be back in season 8 with a new Blade as well, more improved, wins more fights for sure.
Well, it's certainly it's one of those things where I always felt that it was capable, and I was excited to see it do some things in the last season, but not necessarily like probably as well as I'm sure they would have also liked it to do. But yeah, hopefully next season that would be awesome.
I would like to be there as well. For someone who has all these heavyweights and all these parts and never been to filming before. It's about time we should go, right?
I think so. I mean, I would love to get to hear that you had that experience. I mean, it certainly wasn't something that like, if you had asked me a year ago, or like said a year ago, yeah, you're going to go to BattleBots filming next year, I would have been like, no, I'm not going to BattleBots. Like, really? Not because I didn't want to, but I just didn't expect it to happen. And thankfully, that worked out for me to be able to go this season. And now that I've been to it, I'm like, well, I have to go next year. Like it was just an incredible experience. And to get to see these robots up close. I mean, you obviously have some, which is cool. You have them right there, but to be able to see like all of them and get to witness it in person is just a very different experience.
Yeah, that's what scares me as well. If I go one day, I'm gonna say, okay, now I'm gonna go every year. And
Exactly.
flying to Vegas isn't fun.
How long of a
the
flight would
roommates
that be
might
for
be
you?
cheaper.
How,
It would be like probably around 14 hours. And I have a fear of planes, which makes it even more fun. Hey, but
yeah.
I gotta meet all these people who sold me all these cool heavyweights someday and thank them personally.
Right, exactly. And yeah, it's like I can tell you as somebody who's been through that experience, most of my life I also had a fear of planes. And I think for me, taking like a shorter flight as my first flight definitely helped because it wasn't that long, so I didn't have that long to panic. And then afterwards, I was able to see, okay, that wasn't so bad. I mean, at this point, my longest flight is 4 hours, so it's still not 14. But yeah, it's definitely worth taking the trip and getting out, because then once you're there, all you're going to think about is the battle bots and meeting all of these wonderful people.
I definitely can't wait till next season. I am doing everything to make it happen. And hey, if anyone is watching right now and wants to meet me in like a year, I'll be there, hopefully.
Yeah, hey, and like if teams are watching or whatever, like just get Lars on a team and like throw
Yeah,
that
we'll
carrot
need
out
that
there.
too.
That's a little bit more incentive to get on a plane and go.
Invite me to Vegas, people.
Exactly. Well, and so I assume though that if you don't really do planes, you've probably never been stateside over here at all, correct?
Well, I've been to California once,
Okay.
which was 11 hours and rough. Was still the best vacation of my life, but it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, I bet. Because yeah, I mean, Vegas in general, I mean, granted, if you come for BattleBots, and I've talked to this about this with a couple of people, if you come for BattleBots, it's really hard to try and want to do anything else, but there's still going to be, off days, especially if you come for the whole couple of weeks, there's going to be off days and there's going to be time to do other things. And, Vegas in itself is kind of a spectacle. It's not like any other place that I've ever been before. So, it definitely would be just an experience overall.
Well, that's what I hear from everyone. Vegas is like an entirely different place than the rest of the United States.
It really is. Even things that I didn't expect, despite the fact that I've seen, so many like movies about Vegas or shows about Vegas, and I have this, idea in my head of what it's like. It wasn't even like, it couldn't even compare to that. Because I will tell you one cool thing, because I know that you are a fan of horror films. That there is a museum as well in Vegas that has a lot of props from different movies and things like that. So like that could also be a cool thing to see.
Well, you definitely convinced me to try to come. It's gonna be a way longer trip than just BattleBots, though. If I actually want to go throughout the states, I will be in Vegas. I will be in California again, and I'll try to make it to Maui in Hawaii as well, which I still want to visit.
Yeah, that like there's lots of stuff for sure. I mean, the Hawaii is a whole different, again, like it's kind of a thing unto itself. It's very
Yeah,
very
indeed.
unique. So yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, obviously there's a lot of robots that you like, but at this point, if you did come to see them in person, which ones do you think that you would most want to see?
Well, I mean, like, pretty obviously, even though I have Valkyrie sitting in my living room, I want to see it functional up close. And I just really want to meet Leanne Cushing and Alex Grease because no one knows how much effort they put into getting Valkyrie here. It was not easy. It was actually a terrible experience working with like shipping it and everything. But Alex pulled through and he put in so much effort for me. He deserves a hug.
Well, and that was one sad thing for me though. Like I absolutely love Lucy Dew. Like I'm so excited that she is captaining Valkyrie now, but it was also sad that Leanne wasn't there at all, because I think Leanne's great and I would have loved to meet her in person. So hopefully next season, at least being there, even if she's not with the team.
But the plan is definitely to have Leanne back next year. I know why she wasn't able to come to BattleBots this year. I sadly can't say why exactly, but she has the intentions to come back for season 8 for sure.
Yeah,
but Lucy has been an amazing part of the team as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I was excited to get to meet her in person, along with a lot of other folks. Also for season 8, I think another thing that people are really looking forward to is to have Ray Billings back in a driving capacity, even though for those that were there, everybody knows that like if you were anywhere, Ray was around. Like he was just everywhere, meeting with fans and stuff. And so it was really cool to see him get to kind of just go out and mingle with people.
Yeah, he sounds like even a more fun guy when he is not busy trying to kill everyone else. I heard the best stories about him from all the other builders, so I really want to meet him as well. And then of course, Donald Hudson is always someone who I still want to see in person too.
Yeah. I mean, both legendary builders and drivers for sure. It just, really, I mean, I didn't get to meet Donald, unfortunately, as far as to talk to him, but Ray, for sure, I had multiple conversations with, and he was out, just sitting in the crowd often. So it was pretty easy to talk to him if you wanted to.
All right. Yeah, Donald is someone who is really on himself most of the time, trying to focus on getting the bot ready and just he's super focused. But it's a really nice dude. He got me a shout out this season, so
Hey, that's always super cool to get that. But yeah, so those, I would agree with you that those would definitely be some cool teams to get to see the robot and to get to meet in person. So I do hope that you get to go, because that would be it's for anybody that truly loves BattleBots. It's just, I think it's an experience that you have to have.
I gotta agree with that. Even though I've never been before, I still agree that everyone who is a big fan of BattleBots, seeing it on TV doesn't do it justice. You gotta be there in person. Just do it.
Yes, exactly. Although I will say I was a little bit surprised, like, not that it's not loud, but I mean, like, I was expecting things to be like ear-shattering loud, where if you didn't have earplugs in, that like you wouldn't be able to hear for a few days. And it wasn't that bad. I did wear earplugs at first, but then when I took them out, it didn't seem to be like a massive difference. It was okay for the most part. So that was a little bit interesting. But I think, like, for me too, since obviously you have some heavyweights, so you are very familiar with the scale, but as someone who had not previously seen a heavyweight in person, I was really impressed by that they're big robots, but until you stand right next to one, you don't really realize how big they are.
Oh yeah, for sure. When Valkyrie first came here and I opened the crate, I was like, wow, this thing is actually way bigger than I imagined it to be. And then getting it up the stairs was even worse.
Oh, yeah, that would be challenging.
So wish me luck with getting Blade upstairs.
Yeah, that should be a fun time for you. Yeah, I mean, like, do you have room for very many more heavyweights at this point?
Definitely not. I have currently about the space for everything that I still have planned for the rest of this year, which is more than just Blade, so stay tuned, people. The idea is to have at least one more heavy in December, which I'm working on at the moment. Then it is one more robot from the Comedy Central era, which I'm supposed to get next month as well. And then there's one project the project I'm working on, which is, if everything goes according to plan, is going to blow the minds of not only all the fans, but also all the builders and probably even the production team. I can't wait to be able to share it, but it's long work in progress with someone who hasn't been active in the community for 2 decades.
Yeah, I would imagine that would take some time. But that's really exciting. So I'm definitely going to be anxiously awaiting to see what new things that you get, and things of that nature. And it's actually funny because when Sarah with that had Nellie the Ellibot had announced that she was selling Nellie and said that she had a buyer, immediately I was like, oh, that definitely Lars is the one that bought that robot. And then when it wasn't you, I was like, oh wow, that's a really big surprise.
Well, fun fact, I was talking to Sarah about buying it. She didn't have a set price back then yet, so we were just talking about what would be fair for it. But at the same time, I was still busy paying off Witch Doctor as well. So some nice guy with a nice YouTube channel apparently offered her a good amount of money for it. So hey, I'm glad it went to our good friends over there.
Yes, exactly. As long as the robots find a good new home, that is the important thing.
Because I mean, like, Norwalk has a lot of them. I'm slowly starting to get a lot of them, but I also want to see other people collect full heavyweights as well. I wouldn't really recommend buying heavyweights. They're heavy and expensive. But if you really love a robot, it's so cool having it sitting like in your living room. Yes, unbelievable experience.
I would imagine, unless I win the lottery here in the United States, I don't think that I'm ever going to be at a point in my life where I have the income to buy a heavyweight. But definitely, some parts and things like that would be cool. It was actually funny because I know Bloodsport was trying to sell one of their blades towards the end of filming, like just one of the massive, and I'm like, they were offering a reasonable amount for it, but I was like, I don't know how I would get this home. If I could figure out a way to do that, I would probably buy it right this minute, but I couldn't figure it out. So
I mean, like, imagine bringing the broken tri-bar on a plane.
Just trying to bring it through airport security and like, this is fine. It's just a blade. I'm not doing anything with it.
Don't worry about it.
Exactly. Trying to fit in the overhead compartment. I mean, I'm sure that would be fine. And then it would just randomly fall out and like hit someone in the head,
Happens all the time.
I'm sure that is a normal occurrence on planes. But yeah, so no, that's just really cool. I'm sure that everybody is, even though every BattleBots fan, I'm sure, would love to have the collection that you do for themselves, but it's still very cool to like see such a fan of the show to have these things and inspire other people to try and get their own collection started, because I think that that's always a cool thing.
Exactly. Like, I went a little bit crazy on all these things, maybe just a little bit. But there's plenty of people in the community who only have like 5 or 10 or maybe even 3 parts, and I keep hearing from them how proud they are about their like few parts that they have. So you don't need 127 parts to be proud of your collection. As long as you have like the one part of the one team that you really like, it's about the feeling that gives you.
Exactly. I definitely plan to get more things, but I'm very pleased to have a Kraken tooth. It is very much a prized possession for me because I love that robot so much. So to have a tooth is super cool for me.
Well, since we're on the topic of Kraken, what do you think about their new design?
That is a good question. At first, when I heard that there was going to be a redesign, I was a little bit skeptical because I was like, even though I understand robots changing, I don't want a robot to change so much that it's no longer like the same robot, that it's not really the essence of kind of what it was. But thankfully for me, with the redesign of Kraken, even though it does have the vertical spinner element, it still looks like Kraken. There is that modification, but it still looks like Kraken. It still kind of has that same feel, like everything is still cohesive with the theme. So I like it.
Yeah, that's what I really appreciate about the team. Like, no matter how much they have to change to be able to get back into every new season, it still looks like the good old same Kraken with the good old same Matt behind the controls.
Yes, exactly. Because I mean, there's a lot of teams that you can look at that have changed over the years. Even like looking at a team like Ribot, their robot wasn't always the same in the beginning as what it is now, but it's still it still has the essence of kind of what Ribot is. It's that fun robot, but they've just beefed it up quite a bit to make it competitive. So I love that. Like that's what I want to see from like teams evolving and trying to up their level of competitiveness, is still be what they are, but just make the changes that are necessary to reach that level of competition.
And that's what also kind of was the problem with Reality after season 3, because they weren't going to get accepted into season 4 with the new design, and the team eventually just kind of split up because of the differences they had between how they wanted the redesign of Reality to end up being, which apparently now looks like one half is Petunia and the other half is Ominous. But
Right. Yeah. And it's also like, just to add one other interesting thing, that when you're talking about evolution, and like in that case with Reality, that the team didn't necessarily agree. I mean, you look at, situations where there were several builders that were all part of one team and ended up splitting into, multiple robots stemming off from that. And, like Overhaul is a really good example of that, from the very beginning days of Overhaul. And like, especially in more recent times, I'm just going to cite the example of Overhaul versus Black Dragon in the Golden Bolt match from last year. That was the best that I've seen Overhaul ever look, and I loved that match so much. Like, I cannot even emphasize. And there's like other things that I can't talk about yet, but like, just I think it's great in that way. But then you have Sawblaze, who is like super competitive. I mean, like, Jameson is just a beast, and he's so dialed in with that robot, and they're just so very different. But they both kind of started from the same place and just went in different directions.
Yeah, it's really great to see that even like the teams who competed back in season 1 and 2, that they're still competing these days and evolving every year and getting better and better every year. Sawblaze is definitely by far the best example about that. Like in season 2, it was this robot that lost the controversial judge's decision against Razorback, and now it's questionably the robot with the most votes to win the Giant Nut every season.
Yeah.
So do it, Jameson. Win it.
I know. no, listen to Lars, do it. No, yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, that also like kind of ties in with, you know, how we talked about Norwalk and stuff like that, because there's a lot of BattleBots teams that also are very much staples within Norwalk and very competitive there as well. I mean, Jameson is like a prime example of that because he has several robots that are just like phenomenal. So yeah, it's just I love to see it.
Well, I'm definitely excited to see how next Norwalk is in it like 3 weeks already, right? The December
The
stuff.
December finals is, yeah, it's just in a few weeks. So I'm
Well,
also
I
like,
can't wait how that's gonna turn out because it's been an insane year for Norwalk so far, and it's gonna be a crazy December.
yes, Norwalk is something that like for me, this is someone like BattleBots I have watched for 20 years. I mean, like I've watched it ever since the Comedy Central days, so I'm very familiar with that. But Norwalk, I have only started watching the stream since July, so not very long, and I'm just really starting to get familiar with the robots there. But even in that very short time, like I am obsessed. I am so excited for the December final because I think it's going to be like just the level of competition of the robots that are going to be there is insane, and I think it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's a really absurd finals this year. All the teams that are still in at this point, I wouldn't know who to pick at all. Not a single clue.
Yeah, exactly. So like at this point, I'm not only looking forward to those finals in December, but then shortly on the heels of that, the new season of BattleBots should be premiering, even though we don't have an exact date, but it sounds very likely to be early January at this point.
Yeah, they're probably gonna stick with how they did season 6 as well. So pretty certain it's gonna be in January. Finally, some robot combat back on the television.
Yes, exactly. You know, and for fans that watch, I am very excited to say, I mean, I don't have like a date and time for it nailed down, but I will be chatting with Greg Munson on the show prior to the premiere of the new season. So we'll see if there's any like little nuggets that he wants to drop before the season starts to get everyone excited. But I'm definitely excited to see it and talk about it and all of that stuff.
That's definitely going to be a good episode. And hey, Greg, thanks for the piece of the wall again.
Yes, hopefully Greg is watching. I never know, you
Hi.
know, like yeah. Hi Greg, and thanks again for the experience at BattleBots. It was just phenomenal. And next year, now that I know what I can do, I will come prepared to be doing interviews with people, because that would be amazing. I have to, you know, have to try and get up to the level of Team Scorpios with their content, which I'm like that. I don't think anybody can achieve that level. It's amazing.
No. What Diana and Zach do, they're masters of the element. But it does sound like we need a new pit reporter, so you know, give them a call.
I have already volunteered as tribute, so please, yes. Yeah, so very cool stuff. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to see what else you add to your collection. You know, I hope that it keeps growing and we have more cool stuff to talk about, and crossing my fingers that you get to experience BattleBots for season 8.
Same here. And
Yes.
well, I mean, like we're gonna make this collection grow, you know it.
Oh yes, I by now, yes, I am very confident that that is going to happen. So yeah.
We need to get above Norwalk someday, and never gonna happen. But hey,
You can have your very own bot museum. That's how you can fund getting more parts, is that you can build a museum and people can pay a fee to come see it.
well, the plan for somewhere in 2023, not sure when yet, not sure if it's even gonna be next year yet, but the idea is to have a storage unit at some point, get some heavy setup in there, and slowly work towards that goal of a mini bot museum indeed.
That would be cool. I definitely, it's still on my list at some point when I get a passport, because that's something that I would need to do, is to come and visit some places over there, because that would be awesome. Never been outside of the United States myself, so it would definitely be a good thing to see.
Well, you're always welcome here in the Netherlands. Like Peter Abrahamson and Joe Fabiane, they both liked it here. It was great hanging out with them as well. So if anyone is ever coming to the Netherlands, feel free to come check out the collection.
Yes, just hit Lars up, and yeah, you can check out some bot parts. Awesome. But yeah, so for those that are watching, I am very confident that we're going to have a lot of really amazing content in 2023 once the season starts going. So lots of things in store, and just keep letting me know what you want to see, and I will definitely try to make it happen. And we'll see you next time on the show.
Oh yeah, see you later.
Hello, BattleBots fans, and just all fans of combat robotics. I am here to let you know that when you're shopping for this holiday season, there are some things that you may want to check out. First of all, here I have a malice ornament that you can get for your tree. And I will tell you that it looks great on the tree. It's very solid. It's super cool, and you should definitely check it out, as Malice has quite a selection on their store. And then another featured item today is this amazing Witch Doctor shirt. So you should definitely check that out as well. It's super cool. It also comes in a purple variation. So support your teams this season and give the gift of BattleBots.